Hello, citizens of Earth. We have returned from the Las Vegas. Today's Friday. We went to Vegas Monday to Thursday for SEMA. Feeling a little tired, feeling a little unshaven. But I'd like to thank you all for attending our live stream. Even though it is in the YouTube archives, it's not live anymore because we're here recording right now. But you could see the past as it was recorded. Check it out, our other video. Live broadcast from SEMA. We visit Roger the Van. Cool end to that project. And we're still in the very beginnings of this one. The little jewel, the crane. I talked to a lot of people about this project, some engineers specifically. Everybody's nervous. Spoke with one fella, he's a mechanical engineer, and he had some stuff to say, and then he came back and said, you know what? I may be overreacting. So carry on. It's a cockamamie idea. It's not even in its final presentation stage. So bear with me because today, in its unfinished state, we're going to test it. And I think Frank is excited. All right, here we are. Let's take a minute to talk about a few things. Let's talk about risk. Let's talk about reward. Let's talk about the fickle finger of fate. And then ultimately, let's talk about success. Following me? Risk. We're just in Vegas. There's a lot of risk. Thinking about this crane in its unfinished state, there's still a lot of risk. Just spending some time in the time lapse, you'll see welding this plate better to this subframe for the rear. This is as of yet unwelded because I got to try some things. Underneath is reasonably well secured. We put this rib or webbing across the back and top of it, and in my risky nature, I am a risk taker. I like to jump off cliffs. My body is paid because of that. All joking aside, and all truth aside, we're gonna hook this cab up because that's what the crane was designed for. The thing with the 12-ton ram and the this and the that, all this is gonna do is pick up the cab or something comparable in weight. We're never gonna push this to the limit, but maybe the limit is this cab. Who knows? Where was I? Risk. Oh, reward is when this thing picks it up and all the naysayers are hushed, even with the crane in its unfinished state. Got a lot more detail, etc. Another metal order is on the way, so we're gonna make it look better. The fickle finger of fate. That comes in because in my life, I've had issues where absolutely nothing was gonna make me succeed. Call that fate? I'm not sure. Think about your first time trying to ask a gal out on a date. In some cases, there was nothing you could do to make that happen, right? Fate? Destiny? I don't know. So before we go ahead and build this whole crane to the upteenth matter of potential, let's just wing it. Let's see if it lifts it up. Because if it lifts it up, that makes our end game that much closer. Yeah. Should have made a list. Success? We're going to find out. I got my sleeves. I've been welding. We're going to do a couple temporary things with some straps just to ensure, to my degree of insuredness, this thing will hold up. Let me get this out the way. What I'm going to do is move as many tools out of the way as of the travel of this crane. So if it does come crashing down, we just dent the cab. The crane ain't going to dent. What it's going to do is detach from the base and lay down with a big boom, a big bada boom. Hopefully it doesn't hit that engine. Why am I going about it in this way? Firstly, we're going for ratings, baby. We're going for big ratings on this one. I'm joking. You got the pin in here, right? And it's pretty fiercely welded to this plate. Some folks are saying 1/2-inch plate is not enough. I'm figuring with that center pin to pull that off. I mean, granted, this is a fantastic leverage point as well as that, but with E equaling MC squared, wouldn't the natural deduction be if you took a ratchet strap and put it on there and tried it out, that it would work? That's as much thought as I had put into it. And it's my crane, and I can cry if I want to. I got all the lines today. Feeling a little tipsy. The Vegas hustle is quite the event. Jamie is really tired as well, but that means we had a great time. You know, we're not huge party animals, but a 4-day run, or walk as it were, around all that information tends to, offer a little bit of overload. Now, what I was thinking was I was gonna tether the rear of this to this. That way, at least it was attached in some manner that was maybe a bit flexible. You know, it's not gonna stop this whole thing from detaching and toppling over, but I don't wanna weld these two together just yet. So I thought I was gonna put this on here, but that's definitely gonna slip off. That's not gonna work, but there are holes. In a perfect world, I have a nice eye bolt, but I believe I have a chain and I could bolt it through both of those. Yeah, this'll work. And then I'll just put that soft strap. Let me center these up. You can't see it, but there's this rib. I'm just centering the holes on that rear rib. Get a couple bolts to lock that in. And I know I am pushing this thing to the limit. My thought is, if we start to raise it and it gets up off the chassis, we'll give it a little shake. If we hear something crack, we'll stop. You know, again, just to tell stories, I have seen some guys pull some amazingly sketchy, dangerous things off, especially lifting engines and whatnot. So, is this OSHA approved? No. Is it good common sense? I don't know. We'll find out if it works. Then I'll be the hero. Otherwise, in this controlled environment, we're all going to watch what happens. Like I said, I wouldn't even call this an educated bet. This is just somewhere between an educated bet and a shot in the dark. You know? Remember back in the day when they started to do space travel and stuff? The moon shot, and to this day, people consider it controversial. With this project, we're gonna have definite video evidence of everything that occurs. So there won't be any did he make it or not conspiracy theories. Let's see what we could do with this. Man, it'd be nice if we could put it through there, but hey, I think it'll work. We've heard that before. Let's try this. Let's just see what's gonna happen if we lock this down. See what I'm doing? So this rear web doesn't hit the rotating bearing base plate. So see what I'm saying? Just putting in a little action there. Engineers, feel free to chime in on what a mistake this may turn out to be. You know, there's nothing better than saying I told you so. And I wouldn't dispute you. I am going to try to lift this. I've done it with the tractor before. So I open the doors. I know a balance point about in the center of that cab where it lifts. It may have changed because I welded a bunch of stuff to the front now. So it might require a front strap coming up this way. Kind of a 3-point grab. I know the straps won't break. That's proven. I've picked it up enough times to know that much. And if all of this goes well, we'll get to, we're gonna fix that link arm that popped off in transit because it was only really poorly tacked. I should have thought about that before we left. But we had the power off down there and welding wasn't really an option. And I got a couple other aesthetic choices to really make this thing look even more, Mad Max-ish than it currently does. Now it's good because with this web, You know, it's going to have a trolley on it, and all the comments regarding how you're going to keep the trolley in place, etc., are valid. But for now, I think we could just move this right out to the end. That way it doesn't pop off. And I could put a clamp. We're not going to really get crazy with the elevation on this. If it works, it's going to be just enough to take it to the table, because that way I can roll this in and out. And I got a lot of work to do on the cab and under the cab. It's funny, I think there were 3 or 4 mechanical engineers I ran into, and you know, everybody I met was cool and super supportive, but just like if I had something to say about, you know, say blowing a bubble top or whatnot, right? Because I've been there, I've done it, seen some things. So I definitely respect everyone's opinion in that. And if it falls down and goes boom, you can all have a nice, healthy belly laugh. And the radiator, lots of talk about that. How is it gonna cool? We just stuck the radiator on there so we could test start it. I got a weird idea, and I have another weird idea, and that's regarding getting the cab passing air through the rear of it. Okay, let's give it a lift and see if it's gonna tilt. Bolts, 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 strap, strap. This is centered. Doors are shut. Let me slam that one. So I hung from this, you know, like that, and it flexed quite a bit, and it made me nervous. But flexing doesn't mean breaking. Some of the engineers say that these beams have a tendency to roll out under load. They'll twist and kind of noodle and fall down. So let's see what happens. I think, let me look at this. It'd be pretty neat. I mean, we're looking at this straight H-beam, right? And we do have the flag lions as a reference, and they're kind of doing this, but let's see if we can watch that thing flex as I load it. It's where I'm standing, I don't think I'm gonna be able to see it. Some other discussion was, you know, a plan of escape, right? If this thing does crack, I am out, I'm behind the table. Falls down, goes boom, whatever happens, happens. Got the electrical cables out the way. Got the welder out of the way. And again, being a man of risk, I say let's do this. There's almost nothing in this world that ain't fixable. Human body being one of the more challenging things, so I think we're definitely going to get a warning. It's flexing. How's that beam looking? Ooh, she's definitely tense. According to all my calculations, things are moving along as planned. Cab just lifted. Let me just express, there's an extreme amount of pressure on this. All right, the cab is in the air. And it looks like it's a little bit rear heavy unless it's stuck to something. Man, I did have some straps when I was moving it. Let me look in there. Hopefully it's not strapped to the chassis in some way. Oh, look, it's floating. And the pivot is pivoting. I'm gonna look at the lens on this camera. So looking at that beam, I mean, gulp. Our 12-ton Ram seems to be up to the task. Sketchy. Is it gonna tip the truck over? There's been talk of outriggers. sketchy. It's definitely torquing the frame. With that on there, I'm not going to be able to swing it around in this shop. So maybe I'm going to get a couple wheel dollies. This is the part where the adrenaline really kicks in. You start to get a little giddy. Because we are fully committed. There's no holding it up now. We're 100% in. The chassis, let's do a little walk around. Let's push it a little further. Then we'll walk around. This is definitely a hazard right now. What I'm trying to do, I just recalibrated my brain. I'm going to clean up if we can get this to the floor. Then we'll mess around with the crane. Because, yeah, this is giving a twist. Let's push this over. Get a couple wheel dollies. Yeah, let's bring this. I mean, we can drop that as is. Let's take a little walk. Let me grab my glasses and the camera. All right, so coming in, let me get back here and see how much actual angle. I'm gonna stand back here and see how much actual angle is on that chassis. So, I mean, not incredible amount, but see, this is where that little trolley would come in. I could roll it back closer to the tire and clear those tools over there. And you can see all this junk that I just need to pick up from doing that work. I think there's a better angle showing how the chassis is twisting. But if I was to lift this way up, you know, the cab would come into the truck a little bit, but yeah, it's just not going to make this swing. You get that other dolly, push what we can get out of it. But it actually turns. I mean, it rotates really easily. I will need a lock on it. All right, definitely don't want to step under this, so let me come around. Yeah, that'll be cool. Small shop. All right, so let's lower this. Now let's watch all the weight come off of this truck chassis. And definitely, I mean, outriggers probably are appropriate. Put these on. All right, so that's something I shoulda, coulda thought of as well, is we're lower than we were on the chassis now. But I think we'll be able to just take that strap off. We're real close. You like that? That holy cow, let me run under the thing, really quick move. There it is. Well, I don't know how you're feeling about that, but I consider that a first successful test, and that's incomplete. So, baby steps, right? We're getting close. I know I try to be the mad scientist, and then sometimes I try to break out of that, and I get all mad scientist again. So if you're doing this, remember to close your door. If you got your wheel dollies underneath the door / rocker panel, like that. There it is. Yeah, cool. All right, so this can go here. It's a pretty small shop for all this action. We're building lanes to walk through. Yeah, that works perfectly smooth. I am not worried about this until there's a literal ton of weight on this. Cool. Let's do a little arts and crafts. It's kind of how the Egyptians built the pyramids, right? They had to do all this stuff just to accomplish one thing, and that's just what we did. We accomplished one thing by doing a lot of stuff. So we're gonna pull this over, and we're gonna tie it off so it doesn't swivel away from us. Now let's readjust this camera. Get to work. I can't believe that worked. I mean, when I say I can't believe it worked, I can believe it worked, but I am darn pleased. We hit the number. In a gambling world, we hit the number, baby. All right. I got a whole bunch of this rod as well, and in talking with some of them engineering professionals, we talked about webbing the outside of this, and not only would it be stronger, but it could look cool as well. So in looking at this, I was thinking this comes down, so I'm thinking of an up-down ziggy-zaggy kind of thing, right? So if that pointed up to here, is that correct? Having a hard time with the angle standing on the floor. Yeah. So if that came up on this angle, right? That makes it an 11-inch piece. So if we just cut a bunch of 11-inch pieces and went dink, 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 wherever they landed, I mean on the inside of this, so it'd be more like a 10-inch piece. So let's get the saw going, cut them all to 10 inches. And like most times, I'm probably gonna run out of material, so we might only do one side of this, but both sides of the crane will be done. And another funny thing, you know, the claw game, we're in the carnival where the thing comes down and picks up the toy. We're gonna make a claw for this, even though it probably won't be functional to pick stuff up, maybe a bale of hay, but that's gonna be like the accessory. Starting to come up with a little more of a design element now. I'm gonna hold on welding the other side just so you don't get too redundant and boring. But I think we have just enough pieces to make that happen. So I got another chunk under there. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We got 5 there, so 1 there. Yeah, we'll have just enough. But I think what I want to do, just to get us on our way, is get this cab on the table. Where's the camera? I want to get this cab on the table. So I'm going to push the truck out, push the cab here, lift, and then put it in. That way, we're doing a conservative first try. With the tires in the way of the cab when it's on the chassis, I'm trying to keep the front end symmetrical and stuff. So building it on the table will allow a bit more measuring potential. Always thinking. All right, here's where we're at. I welded that link arm back onto the chassis. I'm gonna unstrap this, bring the cab in, trying to make it happen. When I say make it happen, I mean lift once more, put this on the table, and we're on to the next round. Round 500. You know, in a perfect world, this would be parked this way a little bit and I'd already have an outrigger built, but for now, I mean, hey, take the wins where you can get them. This is heavy. Whoa. Yeah, so this is kind of what I'm hoping to see. Got a lot of stuff laying on the floor. I gotta vacuum this whole shop out from all that cutting. There is metal abrasive dust everywhere. Yeah, let me bring that cab through. Remember back when we were designing the headlights and stuff? Everything looked weird. That's why we're putting it on the table. Symmetry is the hardest part. So this lift will be higher than the last. So don't quit on us now. Because we're gonna lift and then we're gonna roll this back. So you can see right here, I think the trailer hitch is gonna hit the front grill. And I do need it facing this way. Do we dare put a little extension on this thing? No. Why has it always gotta be something? Can you see that? So we want this end of the boom to be just behind these lights, you know, kind of out there on the door. And what's happening is that trailer hitch is about to munch that cab. So let's see exactly how we do this. I could put the cab on the table backwards and then spin it. Nice little rotator right here would be an option. I don't have that. You know what I'm saying? One of those little double swivels. Think. Let's lift it up with the back facing and we'll rotate it on the table. I definitely don't want to hook that up and mess it up, so I could just put a chain on it and give it a hard twist. That's an option also, but see, now we can get it nice and close to the rear. It's exactly how it should be sitting. Yeah, let's just do that. I'll spin it the hard way on the table. You gotta give a little to get a little. Those are just the rules. I don't make them. I live by them. But irregardless, there's gonna be a pretty tall lift this time around. Yeah, that looks good. Come on, strap. Of course, I shut the door on the bottom strap. Hey, we had one moment of truth. We're getting ready for number 2. Oh, am I losing my mic? It's funny, these microphones are magnetic. So I'm gonna leave this strap a little bit looser. I'm gonna have to remember that, because remember, this thing didn't quite hit the ground. So a looser strap, but even though we're going up taller, when I bring it back down, we wanna leave some flex, because this crane does go so tall. Yeah. I think that's that. All right, let's raise it up, see if we can't put this on the table. I said, let's raise this up and see if we can't put it on the table. If all goes wrong, get ready to run. I'll put a wheel block on so it doesn't roll out the door once it gets some weight on it. That would be funny. Never to return. All right. Yeah. Let's see what we come up with. Just because it lifted once doesn't mean it's going to lift every time. How's that looking? Strap's got to come forward, huh? It's tilting. Or maybe we'll put that strap and lift it up there. Let's do the second. Just a bit. That looks better. It's still front heavy. All right, let's supplement it. I don't know why it worked so good the first time. Wait, no, I made it the opposite way. It's gotta go this way. Yeah, you all get it. You all saw that coming. Everybody got it but me. It's gotta go that way. It's gotta sit there. Just the guy with a YouTube channel. What do I know? Now that the door to the shop is open, I feel a lot more confident. So I can run out of here. Things get really wild. All right, it's lifting. I like this. I feel good about that. And we'll be able to just roll this back. I'm gonna go real slow with the bouncing of this because I'm not trying to exert that kind of pressure. You know, we have not a complete welded scenario. And if this goes down from that height, it's gonna be a thing. I'm hoping if it does break, it just goes ping. Probably be a lot louder than that, but it'll be more of a clang, I think. We'll all have a good chuckle. But the leverage on this handle isn't much for me to lift this, which is nice. I understand that the more that that ram extends, some people talked about that capacity, but it does say 12 tons. And this will roll. Get it right up on the table. About halfway there. Again, I'm watching, I'm using all of my senses. Trying to keep that bouncing to a minimum. There's a curious squeaking noise developing on this handle. Not there yet. And you know, the more we use this, the more confident it will feel, but this is the great unknown. Should probably take a still shot, huh? We got video of it. I can hear cars on the freeway going, like their tires clicking, making me think this is doing something. So yeah, it's squeaking, but nothing seems weird. Well, everything seems weird, but nothing seems like it's gonna fail. Not making any failure sounds. And we did just perform the task. So I mean, what the heck was everybody expecting? Except perfect success. So I'm gonna turn this thing around on the table and then wrap it up. All right, so that was a bit of fussing, bit of stretching, bit of wrestling, but this was the whole concept, to get that truck cab on the table facing this way. Then we can work on the other parts. Namely, let's try this, weather report style. There we go. Those two headlights, we need the same distance from the ground. And being on the chassis like that, they're a little bit off. And I'm not sure that those headlights we had were the right answer. So we got this away from the tires, and the crane is working. It just lifted all the way up there. So I call that a win. Let's get to it. A little more creativity next time. A little longer video possibly too. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.